Welcome to Dharma Bums, everybody. Anyone new to Dharma Bums? Really? First time?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, how did you
I was here this morning, actually.
Oh, okay.
Second time.
Oh, tomorrow. Oh. How did you find Dharma Bums?
Google.
Oh. We'll meditate for a short time while maybe other people arrive. And we'll start. So welcome everyone. Anyone new to meditation? Great. What is meditation? Well, that's just... Any questions about your meditation practice as it is now? Anything unusual? Even there are no wrong questions. All questions are very useful. Anything? Yeah.
Does Zen incorporate walking meditation? Or is it all Zazen seated?
Yeah, I mean, Zazen literally means seated meditation. Zazen. So Zen, in its practice, especially noticeable when it's in retreat practice, it's very much engaged in walking and also work activity, very much so. Retreat experience, it's much easier to experience the seated, walking, moving, eating, everything becomes very much the same.
Mm.
So the whole point of seated meditation is to carry it into our daily activity, not to run off and try and find some tranquil place separate from our daily activity. We just want to engage our meditation in our general activity, everything we're doing. I think Zen is especially focused in that direction. Yeah, so in Zen meditation, it's also emphasized that way in most Buddhist meditation, but not entirely, to meditate with our eyes partly open. So we're fully engaging our senses in meditation, hearing, seeing, tasting, feeling, all the senses are engaged. We're not trying to disappear somewhere and disconnect from what's happening around us. Zen comes out of Mahayana Buddhism, and the basis there is this paradoxical idea that nirvana and samsara, nirvana, the realm of liberation, and samsara, the realm of suffering, supposedly, are actually the same thing. It's our perception and relationship that causes problems. So this is a very radical idea, really. And that doesn't mean that samsara is nirvana just as we perceive it. That would be a mistake. But ultimately, one reality. So in Zazen, and seated, ideally, at least a little bit, open one's eyes occasionally. But by open, meaning barely open, gazing down, 45-degree angle. And gazing, not focusing on anything in particular. So if you were to hold your hands out like this and move them, gazing, you would see without trying to. You would see this wide peripheral vision would be wide open, very spacious gazing. And then just a little bit closed. Eyes look relaxed. You're still blinking and close your eyes, whatever. These days too, there's a lot of, because of these things, and screens and things, we have a lot of eye stress, so maybe closing them a little more is okay. But usually if you close your eyes, there's a tendency to get sleepier or to get more chatterbrain going on. So if they're slightly open, that usually makes it easier. Easier may not be right, but makes it more fluid, more spacious. So Zen emphasizes very much, this body-mind integral view and practice. And some of the Zen artistic expressions emphasize that very much, A friend of mine was practicing Zen Archery or Fudo in Japan, probably in the 1970s sometime. And his teacher's teacher came. They were setting up to do some kind of demonstration. Well, his teacher's teacher was in his mid-80s. Fudo, there's a nice book, Zen and the Art of Archery, in English. Fudo bow is really big, shooting. I've never done it, but shooting sideways. Very slow, very methodic, ritual practice, very small target. Ultimately, if the target's quite far, maybe 200 or 300 feet, not so big. So my friend who was there then, he didn't know what they were setting up. So they're setting up this thing, and they have the targets that the senior monk is standing by. No, the senior monk is going to shoot, and the old man, the senior teacher of the teacher of this group, is standing by the target. He has strapped on, just for some safety, kind of a guard on his forearm. He's standing right next to the target. Well, the guy shooting has to make sure he doesn't hit the person. And then he watched, and the senior student shooting, hits, heading right to the center of the target. 6 inches before the target, the old Kudo master grabs the arrow out of the air. This friend of mine was there. He was pretty good, and he just couldn't believe it. That's impossible. They did it repeatedly several times. So in that present moment, in that natural awareness of the Kudo master standing by the target, he's unified in his awareness with the person shooting and the target and himself. There's no separation, and the arrow flowing. It's all one harmonious whole. And in that present moment, he's just reaching and picking up the arrow. I mean, it sounds theoretically nice like that. If one was trying to do that, you would either reach out after the arrow hit the target, or you would get your arm pinned by the arrow. So in that unified awareness that is practiced in Zazen leads, to this closer and closer unity of our awareness and our activity and our body and mind coming together. Same time, there's another a very humorous Zen story from Zen Archery also. Teacher in California, Covincino Roshi, was known to be quite good at Kyudo. So he set up he was going to do a demonstration for his students at Esalen Institute in Big Sur one time. And they set up targets, and there's a view of the ocean there and everything. He has all his nice Kyudo gear on. All the different students, a very small group, but they're all really excited because he's really supposed to be really good at Kyudo, and no one's ever seen him practice. So he pulls up the bow and starts to focus the target. Right, and he's pulling the bow, releasing the arrow, he points up, and the arrow goes way out into the ocean, and he turns around and exclaims, "Bullseye!" So both of those examples need to be understood in the perspective of Zen. Both are perfect practice. Just everyone watching was shocked. They weren't sure what to do with that. It's very funny. So again, the story I just told you, he's embracing himself in the ocean in the arrow. This is also Zen activity. Posture. So breathing. Everyone know how to breathe? We know how to breathe. Originally, at age 2, we know how to breathe. 2-year-olds breathe how? They're breathing slowly, deep belly breathing. So what happens to our breathing when we have some fear, anxiety, anger, emotional upset? What happens to breathing? Pretty much out of our control. It freezes, or it gets blocked somewhere. We're all a little different, but basically somewhere things get stuck. So more and more subtle level, we keep to this deep breathing, and then it's like we're surfing the mental, emotional, mental constructions, memories, anticipations. We're surfing all this more and more skillfully when we keep this posture. It's kind of like diving into the well of our unconscious a bit when we sit this way, giving us a way to navigate and not either engage in or push away. We're just allowing everything to arise and everything to resolve itself as we breathe with it. Because what happens if we push something away, we try to repress it, what happens to it? It gets bigger. We jump into it, try and fix it, like, oh, yesterday or last week, such and such happened. If I had said such and such, it all would have gone well, and then everything would be perfect. And so I'll fix that next time, and I'll go do blah, blah, blah. Right? Or we think, oh, tomorrow I'm going to go do X, Y, Z, and then I'm going to tell this to that person. So we get involved in all these kinds of mental, anticipatory, or past kind of games. And then, of course, things never turn out quite like that. It doesn't work so well. So the whole point is to be more and more present with everything as it is. You get a little more clarity in seeing through all these things, not getting caught in them. So again, breathing completely, inhale. To the nose and exhale through the nose. And one exhales, one's stomach isn't like going in. Relaxed, belly's coming out a little bit actually on the exhale. This is important. In Zen, they also hold a mudra here, like this or like this. It also helps keep this focus on the breathing. This way it's a little easier in the beginning. This also works. So I'll sit for a few minutes. Any question? Questions? Comments?
Can you talk about physical pain while meditating?
Say it again?
Can you talk about coping with physical pain while meditating?
Pain. Like from posture, from leg pain, back
Or
pain,
carried into,
shoulder pain.
carried into meditation, and then back pain.
Yeah. Well, then should be a little careful. There is how to put it. It's in the sense there are different. One needs to be aware that is it a pain that can be worked with, meditated through without creating more problem. This is important. And most of it is. Mostly it is. But it is possible to become overly zealous and force things and create problems that are unnecessary. I know this has happened with practitioners, usually when one's doing a lot long sessions, then one can overdo and in a sense ignore or override the pain too much. This is possible. I know stories where this has happened. But most of the pain we have, like shoulder, neck, knees, lower back, put a little more awareness into even subtle, smaller shifts in posture, and these will reduce and eliminate. In a sense, one can also breathe with or into the pain completely, and it's also very true, and I've experienced this, where seemingly a lot of pain is just, how did that happen? Where did it go? It's true. And it's noticeable more when one's on a longer, several day retreat. Very small differences and adjustments in posture will change the pain outcome. We don't notice how far off our posture is when we're just meditating for 10 or 15 minutes. But when you're meditating for maybe more than 5, 6 hours or 10 hours a day, small postural imbalance will produce pain. And then one can okay, I need to be a little more careful. That's that kind of thing. There are other kinds of things where one has an injury and then one has to modify one's posture because of that carefully. That's a little different. But the main point with the first kind of pain is to be open and not resist. Breathe with and into its source, and then make small adjustments, see what's going on. Too much pressure on the knees, too much lower back, too much. Many things are possible. There are also energetic kinds of, and again, examples, energetic blocks create pain. So you can always complement one's meditation practice with some bodywork therapy, acupuncture, acupressure. These things are all helpful. Sometimes we have more significant postural bad habits that have become ingrained over a long period of time, so then we might need some more work in that realm to be in better balance. Yeah, really the posture, they call the 7-pointed posture of Vairochana Buddha, or the posture of emptiness, is this posture of, maybe sitting cross-legged on cushion, or sitting seiza like I am here. It's okay. Knees are on the ground, spine is planted, Spine is we say straight, but it has its natural curve, doesn't it? So mouth is closed, tongue on the roof of the mouth comes naturally. Head is centered over shoulders. Posture is very, very relaxed. So, like in Zen, they say, like if you had an egg under each arm, you wouldn't squish it or you wouldn't drop them. I haven't tried this, but one could try. So it's like if I'm moving, then this is very flexible. It's not like relaxed. Even this mudra here, if there's a piece of paper between my thumbs, it'd be just enough to hold the paper there. It's not like I'm pushing in, it's just barely, very lightly held, but firm. What am I leaving out? Again, right on the navel, that part we call it tanden or dantian in Chinese, center of the body energy. It's important in Qigong, Chinese martial arts, Japanese, this whole body center. The same breathing method I'm talking about here is also in Tibetan Buddhism called small vase breathing. Again, eyes just a tiny bit open. And hearing, seeing, feeling, smelling, tasting. Just fully present with what's happening. But we're surfing the present moment. The present moment is the focus. Past and future things will come in to distract us. We just allow them to come and to go. Again, over again. So it's this posture and open focus creates a base for allowing this fluid, spacious nature of things to arise. So some would call this, touching a little in our practice, what would be called, one Lama calls our pristine mind, or in Zen, the unborn mind. Our Buddha nature. So I'll meditate again for a little bit. Any questions? We have a few minutes left. Thank you, everyone. Any little thing, anything, question, comment? Yeah.
So I find myself getting really, really sleepy during today's meditation.
Oh, yeah.
What your opinion on whether you should just let yourself go to sleep or I go to the,
Don't sit in a chair.
Yeah, like a group setting.
Next time you guys come, you have to sit up here.
Right. You just let it happen.
You won't get sleepy.
On that or?
It'll be easier. I mean, we still, what will happen is that, okay, maybe at the end of the day we're sleepy, but if we're in meditation space, we'll, how do you describe it? You might be sitting and all of a sudden, like that, but it's just like sleep awake.
Right.
But if you're sitting back in the chair, you're going to go, it's not going to work.
I think I had a lot of you.
Yeah, but if you're sitting up, you should put more effort into posture, and awareness in this present moment. Yeah, there might be a moment of sleep, but then we actually get a little bit of a taste of what sleep really is. All of a sudden there's a gap, like, oh, it's interesting. What was that? Like, I mean, how many millions of times we fall asleep, right? Are we aware at the moment we fall asleep? Anyone? Aware when you fall asleep?
Close.
Close, but not quite. But if you get closer if you're falling asleep when you're sitting meditating. It's really quite a marvelous moment. I mean, in Tibetan Vajrayana Buddhism, they say that falling asleep in that moment, and the moment of death, this clear light flashes, this luminosity of mind appears. This also happens actually in sleep transitions, but we're unconscious of it. I mean, that's the Tibetan view. And it's not something we can watch. The ego, other awareness disappears. That's what it's supposed to do. That's good. Just like in breathing, we completely inhale, right? And then completely exhale. And when we've completely exhaled, there's a little pause at the bottom, I call it. One of my early Zen teachers used to say, don't trust thoughts on the inhale, useless. Only trust thinking that arises when you've completely exhale. It's kind of a Zen joke, because there's no thoughts arising at that point. If you really release in that exhale, there's no self-observing other. It's completely, and then everything starts again. There's no ego watching all this happen. You have to be careful of that idea. The ego is flowing, arising, and dissolving and disappearing in this whole process. And then re-rising again as a separation itself and then closing together. Yeah. So that becomes more fluid and with more ease. I sort of got carried away here, kind of over time. But yeah, so sleeping, or if you're really, really, really tired and just can't stay awake sitting up, then go to bed to sleep. But again, if your posture's stronger, better, sitting up, sleep might come, but still meditation is very useful in that state. Anything else? Great, thank you.
Thank you.